Hey guys, it's Kathy with Kincaid Special Creations coming to you with a live. Sorry I'm a minute late. There's some strange stuff going on and I had to get rid of it off of my computer. So how is everybody? I'm going to try to get in here, see if I can get me up where I can see the comments this evening. Hi everybody. There I am. Let me bring me up. There, now I can read. Hey Stevie. There's Miss Hanny, Amanda, Julie, Dad. Hey Tim. How is everybody this evening? I wanted to tell Stevie, where I can see him face to face, happy retirement, bud. Welcome to the club. How are you liking it so far? So, oh yeah. Yeah, Sammy had to get in the picture too, Mandy. We found out this week our chickens are laying eggs again. I got another one this morning. I'm so proud of them little ladies. Every time I go in there to get eggs, though, the one I call Polly, she comes in with me. So I don't know if they're her eggs, she don't want me taking them, or whether she's telling me they're her eggs and she's happy to know that I'm finally getting them out of the cold. Not sure which it is. Hey Stanley, how are you guys this evening? Yeah, Sammy thinks he's all that and then some, wanting to be on camera tonight. I told him he could be, so he found a spot. How's everybody's weather? It's been rainy and windy. Just a little bit windy here. The power went off yesterday for roughly about 10 seconds, but it didn't go back off again, so I'm happy about that. I know they put in a new meter here last week, and for whatever reason my furnace is doing a wonderful job now. So I don't know if we had there was a decrease in the, I don't know. I'm hoping the power bill goes down. That would be awesome. Okay, Chris. Glad to see you made it. Really windy. That's why I'm hearing all over the place. It's been really, really windy. So, Jan said it was real windy after her place yesterday, but we just got a little bit of wind here. Usually we get a whole massive amount of wind. Stevie said, yep, windy there. No rain today. Timmy said it was raining so much in Richmond it flooded out part of his little shop he was working in. So, yeah. We had a lot of rain. We didn't have any flooding, but we had a lot of rain. But everything else is pretty good. I just wanted to come on this evening since it's wintertime and there's very little to do outside because it's cold, nasty, generally, for the most part. A lot of people read. So I thought Christy would give me some ideas on what to do on West Virginia Wednesday, and one of them was to talk about some authors from West Virginia. So I thought I would do a little bit of research today and come up with, there's a ton of them online. I didn't pick but 14 of them, but there are lots and lots more. So West Virginia has some pretty good authors. A couple of them wrote books wrote things that I know about, but I didn't know they were the authors, and I didn't know they were from West Virginia. Hi, Brian. How are you today? Did you all get too much wind yesterday? I kept watching Ryan Hall, and it said it was nasty down that way. For anybody that don't know who Ryan Hall is, because most people don't stay on YouTube like I do, Ryan Hall is a meteorologist. He has a YouTube that's called Ryan Hall Y'all, just like it sounds. And he does, anytime there's severe weather in any area of the country, he's in the the office, or sometimes he goes to site. Like he was down into floods in Kentucky. He was out and on the road and different things. And they have a big community where they, you can send money, and then they help the particular people that are in need. They take water and they take everything to these places that need stuff and help build stuff. They're just a really good group of guys. I'm not sure where he's at, to tell you the truth. I wanted to say North Carolina, but I don't know that. So the first thing I'm going to ask you guys is, does anybody have a favorite author that, anytime that book comes out, you want to get it and read it? I can't say that I do. I like the fellow that wrote that that wrote the Left Behind series. I like his writing. I got several of his books. And, of course, I've got all the Harry Potter books. My copy and Chris's copy. So, we have those that we kept. Mom collected anything and everything that had to do with Star Trek. And I inherited all the paperback books. And I have some of the hardback books, too, that was related to Star Trek. So, that was what Mom liked. Dark Shadows, Star Trek, stuff like that. She was really heavy into sci-fi. Piers Anthony, what did he write? Hi, Tina. Yeah, that's what we got here too, Brian. Was rain, a little bit of wind. Janet Kay said it was real windy out there. Yeah, I do still have your Harry Potter books. Yeah, she did like Doctor Who. She had of all the Doctor Who people, now we could do a discussion on the most favorite Doctor Who, because, he was one of those like James Bond. There was several different people played him. But I liked Tom Baker. That was the one that had the black curly hair and he wore the long trench coat all the time. I just liked him the best of all the ones that played Doctor Who over the course of time. 13. What are they about, Stevie? Are they sci-fi or mystery? I'm not sure. The name doesn't sound, well, half of these names I read today didn't sound familiar, but their books kind of did. So, yeah, I really like Tom Baker as Doctor Who. Of course, that's the one I grew up with. I knew the one that was before him and the one was after him. They weren't too bad, but Tom Baker just nailed it. I mean, he was just Doctor Who. You could tell he was from outer space. My favorite books are any history books, any at all that you can get on West Virginia. Whether it is the generalized history of West Virginia or our local Fayette County history. Even better, Ansted history. Because you find a lot of things that people were, especially books that were written, say in the early to the 3/4 of last century in the 1900s, because they just wrote. Now, whether they wrote the truth or they didn't, but that was the history we grew up with. So that's the history we know. Some people want to do a revisionist history. Maybe they know more than what I do. Maybe what they're saying is, but you can't turn the Titanic in Mill Creek. It ain't going to happen. So, a lot of people try, but, this Titanic, she still sets firm in what she wants. And the other book that I absolutely love the most and have done the most reading in and the most studying in is the Bible. And every time I read it, I find something new and fascinating, or something that I've read before comes on a whole different meaning that finally makes sense to me. So, Bible's just a great book. It's full of every single genre that they have available today. is all in that one book. You just have to look for it. So we're going to go on, hi Jansu, Fantasy Ogres. I'll have to look them books up, Stevie. What I would like to do is to do a little family book thing where we read a book and then we, at least have something to talk about. Book related. Janet Kay knows them all. She reads everything coming and going, but yeah, don't it? Samuel. That's not comfy. That's being nasty. Lay down. You can lay down on a chair. Just behave yourself. Come on. Anyway, back to what I was saying. The first lady that I ran across in authors in West Virginia is a lady named Denise Giardina. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing her last name right. She's from Charleston, and she writes what I like, historical fiction about West Virginia. Her books were The Stormy Heaven and The Unquiet Earth. She wrote a whole lot more than that, but that was the two. The Unquiet Earth is about a lifestyle of people in the coal mines. And that was a unique life for me when I was growing up, because my granddaddy Johnson, I can still smell at times the carbide light that he would have. Now, whether I don't guess he was still in the mines by the time I got, it could have been, I don't know. But I could remember him being in the dining room in the bedroom of Grandma Wilson's house, and we'd be sleeping in the bed, but you could smell the carbide of that light. That's a distinctive smell that nobody ever forgets if they've smelled it before. Oh, yeah. Then he decided he's going to clean his butt. It's easy, dog. But anyway, the next one is Homer Hickman. He wrote a memoir. Can anybody tell me what Homer Hickman wrote? Because it's a pretty famous thing that he wrote, and there was a movie made from it. So I'm going to give you just a second or two. He wrote several. The other ones are Carrying Albert Home. That's a story about, I guess they had a pet alligator, and they were taking it home to Florida. We went to Florida one time. I think we took one of, maybe it was Kitty's friends or Kelly's friends or somebody we took down there. He was supposed to go down there and go to work, but he went to somebody else's house while we was visiting Clarence, and he wanted to bring a baby alligator home. Wasn't but about this long. And we said, no. I didn't want that thing getting lost in Mom's car. That would have been, Cassie would have had an enjoyable visit in Mommy's car. But anyway, you're right, Janet. It's called Rocket Boys. October Sky. The book was called Rocket Boys, but then they renamed it October Sky when they made the movie. I thought that was pretty cool. I heard that he would, but I don't know that I've ever heard who the man was that wrote it. But I remember the movie being about West Virginia. He also wrote a book called Red Helmet. I don't have any idea what that was about. I was looking at the little book covers online, and it said his name, and he wrote Red Helmet. Another one is Carlene Thompson. She wrote horror and suspense. She is from Parkersburg. She's wrote over 20 novels. Her first one was Black for Remembrance. And the inspiration for that book, she said, came from walking her dogs in the woods. It came out in Braille and audio. There was A Breath Away, Last Seen Alive, and Praying for Time. Also books she wrote. Hi, Margaret. Hi, Pam. Hi, Kathleen. I'm glad you stopped in to visit. Then there's Stephen Kuntz. That name sounds familiar, but I'm not real sure. He was from Buchanan. He wrote military thrillers. He wrote The Flight of the Intruder, which was political intrigue and military dramas on the world stage. He also wrote The Cannibal Queen, A Flight into the Heart of America, where him and his son flew across country in a 1942 Stearman biplane. That would be an interesting flight. I'm not sure that I would be, well, I'm not comfortable getting up in the airplane in the first place, but, I imagine that would have been wonderful for him to be able to do it with his son. There's one named Rashia Hasbib. I can't pronounce her name either. But she was born in Egypt and settled in Charleston, and she wrote In the Language of Miracles. Cynthia Ryland wrote youth fiction, and she wrote no, I don't think Dean Koontz is from West Virginia. Let's see. I didn't say in the book where he was from, so I'm not sure where Homer Hickman was from. But that sounds like a good possibility, because his dad was a coal miner, and they made the rockets. I watched At the movie October Sky. Every time I watch a movie, I sleep through half of it. So, but what I watched of it was good. Cynthia, she authored over 100 books. They were all basically kid books, like Missing May, Dog Heaven, Cat Heaven, When I Was Young in the Mountains, and she grew up in Raleigh County. Craig Johnson wrote mystery books. Here you go, Stevie. Here's you something to do while you're on retirement. Guess what he wrote? Guess who he's famous for? Timmy, you should be happy to know this little fella come from West Virginia. Now, he settled out in Wyoming, but he originally came from West Virginia. From Huntington, as a matter of fact. Does anybody know what he wrote? Don't anybody go on Google and find it out that way. Monica Taylor Blake. What did she write, Janet? I'd like to read the book. She's from Ansted? Huh. That's pretty cool. Anyway, back to Craig Johnson. He wrote Walt Longmire, the series. Yeah, Tim, our show that we watched every bit of, Longmire, was written by this little fella named Craig Johnson. He's got it's 12 books in the series, and the latest one was An Obvious Trek. Other books in the series was called Daughter of Morningstar. So if you've ever watched Longmire, you know who Morningstar was. And Next to the Last Stand. Hi, Missy. Releasing the Pain. All right, sounds good, Janet. I'd like to read it. Hi, Linda Kay. Next one is, yeah, we love Longmire. I think we watched that show through a couple of times. So it's nice to know that a fellow from West Virginia wrote the series. I think you find out a lot of things whenever you do targeted research like I've been doing for these shows, that one, you wouldn't have thought to look up in the first place, and two, it's just interesting pieces of information to know. Next one is Mark Harshman, and he also wrote children's books. Living in Wheeling, his books were Falling Water, One Big Family. It was about a chaotic fun at a family reunion. And man, we could write several books about our family reunions, guys. But we had the best time. Hi, Karen. Next one is Anna Egan Smucker. She writes children's books, and she's from Weirton. The names are No Star Night, Golden Delicious, A Cinderella Apple Story, Brother Giovanni's Little Reward. Anna Pancake comes in next, and she was a short story writer, as well as Jane Ann Phillips, who wrote Motherkind, Black Tickets, Last Lines. And her most one was a chilling fiction called Quiet Dale, of a mother and her children who died mysteriously. So she wrote a book on that. And the last three that I have, I'm sure everybody has heard of these if you went to school, because that's where I heard at them. First one is Pearl S. Buck. She lived in Hillsboro, which is in Pocahontas County, and wrote fiction. The Good Earth, My Several Worlds, Fighting Angel, and The Exile. Fighting Angel, The Exile, and My Mother's House. I've heard of Pearl S. Buck. I don't know that I've ever read any of her books, though. I really need to read more. Yeah, I like Longmire too, Linda. I just pretty cool. Janet too, I've never heard of her, but I think that would be interesting to read. I really do. Anything that comes from especially with the West Virginia Live that I do, that would be good to actually read books from people in the area. I might start doing that so I can. If I don't do it on the thing, I can do just a little update on a community tab in YouTube or something. Next one is Booker T. Washington. He wrote his memoir, Up from Slavery. And he lived in Malden, which is in Kanawha County. I think I went past Malden. I didn't know she was from West Virginia either. There you go. I'm going to talk about something to help you work with that, reading more books this year, because that's what I'm going to do here in just a little bit, is set me up what they call a book journal. Oh, really? That'd be cool. Malden's on 60. I think Malden might have been where Timmy's mom was in a nursing home, where Matthew works at down there. No, that's Marmette. I don't know where these places are at. Timmy could take you everywhere and bike 15 times over, but he takes me all different ways, so I get lost. Okay, and the last one that I got as far as authors, and he wrote an autobiography, and everybody should know this name too, is Chuck Yeager. He was an astronaut. I'm curious to know if the Yeager Airport was named after him. That'd have been pretty cool. So we're gonna. That's all the. That's not a tenth of the authors that was on Google this morning. However, I only like to keep this between 25 to 30 minutes or so. So I had to shorten down the amount of stuff I could write down. One of these days I'm going to get better, and I'll get taking all these notes, which I've kept over the years, and I'm going to write them up into a PDF form, and anybody that wants to know the information, they found something intriguing, we'll get us an email list together, and I'll just start sending them out. You can reread what I've said, and then I'll put in there the places where I found that information. So if you want to look up any more information on, say, Pearl S. Buck or somebody, or that guy that wrote Longmire, you'd have that particular stuff in, on a PDF form that you can then download and look at. The last thing I'm going to talk to you about, going in with Christy's idea, is they take one of these little books. You can get them off of Temu for less than $3. You can get them at Dollar Tree store. You can get them The only reason that I like this one versus the one over there, normally the ones in the store have lines, which is still good. But this one has a dot grid. So if you want to draw stuff, they'll take these, they'll make a home page, they'll make an index, then they'll take and make little books across the bookshelf. Anybody ever watches the book journal on thing, you can see it. They do wonderful. They will print off the little titles of the books that they read and then put a review. They'll put little stars to where they go in and they say, oh, well, did I like this book? Did I not like this book? That way, if they're talking about a book and somebody likes it, they can, be able to look back and say, yeah, this one was, a real good book. I really liked it. Or I wasn't crazy about it, but you might like it. Because there's a lot of books that while I don't particularly get interested in them, other people love to read them. Now, I would not, for the longest time, I did not read Follow the River, which, now if you ask me, I'll tell you it's an excellent book. But then, it was this thick. It was humongous. So I got it when I got this house in 2000. Follow the River was one of the books that was in it. And Lucifer's Hammer, believe it or not, those two books was still in this house when I got it. I guess they were stuff they staged the house with when they were trying to sell it. Anyway, both books I read. The first 150 pages of that book, Follow the River, was boring to me. Now, it was boring. You had to read them because the setup had to be there. The second 150 pages I read in less than 12 hours. It got that good, that quick. But yeah, I read the second 150 pages of that book in 12 hours. And if anybody knows me, they know I'm not a reader. It takes me forever to read a short, little, teeny, tiny book. But the only other book I read like that was one of the Harry Potter books because Chrissy had them all. I think it was number 5, and we had bought her number 6, and she took it out to Washington when she went out to help Jenny move back. And I told her, I said, well, I got to reread 5 so that I can get ready to read 6 when you get done with it. Well, she was gone about a week, and in that week I read, and that's another one of those thick books. But when they're good, those thick books don't matter about nothing. When they got you intrigued and ready to go, those are good books. Those are the kind that you want to read. Now, the other one, Lucifer's Hammer, I would read. I would suggest everybody today read Lucifer's Hammer. It is not about the devil per se and the fact of the devil, which is the reason I wouldn't read it before that. It is about where I won't give you but the first part of it so you'll get intrigued to read it. But it's about where a meteorite hits the earth and what happens after that. But it is a very good, very well made book. So if you're caught in a situation like that, because we don't know when something like that might come and happen, it gives you suggestions on how these people survived. It's like the Left Behind series. When you get to the Glorious Appearing, which is book 12, Janet Kay got them all for me in Pennsylvania. When you get to that one, you're like, oh my gosh, this whole thing makes sense. And you're just amazed. So if you ever get a chance to read those are excellent books to read. But I've read them all. So unless I want to go back and read the same books I've read, I've got to find me new ones to read. So I'd like to make just a small challenge to everybody that watches this. Just pick a book up, read it, put in the comments. I'm going to transfer this from Facebook to YouTube. So go to YouTube in the comments section and put in what book you think you might read. And that way we can keep up with what's on. So you might find a book that's absolutely wonderful and you want to suggest it to one of the people in our group to read it. If you've got a suggestion this evening, just like Janet Sue did, that'd be wonderful. The library over here in Ansted is really good. If you're looking for a specific book, she will help you to find that book. If she doesn't have it in her place, she'll look at all the other libraries that's available to see if she can get it sent to her. So as far as reading a book, if you can get to the library, there's no reason that you couldn't read any book that they have available. I won't say they got them all, but that they have available. All right, guys. Well, that's about all I've got for this evening. Good deal, Stan. I thought it was. I thought that they might have named it after that. Hey, Tim, you beat him in, but that's still good, yeah. Well, thank you, Brian. Thank you. And I'm going to sign off for this evening. I have been working on, these things are called mug rugs. You just set them down, set your water on top of them, and or your cup of coffee or whatever. But I've been working on them all day. I see I missed putting the other line in the center of this one. I only put one. You're supposed to put two. I'll have to go back and put the second one. But anyway, I had fun. I did 20 of them today. So we're getting ready for a craft fair that's going to be in St. Albans on the 9th of March. So anybody's down in that area and will stop in, we'll be there. All right, guys, y'all have a wonderful evening, and we will talk to you next Wednesday for the Facebook Live.